What's up, guys? Welcome back. Episode 3 of Stability WOD. We apologize for not getting a video out to you guys last week. We had some issues getting some things resolved or whatever, but we're back. Hope you guys have been able to use the first 2 videos successfully. Had a lot of good feedback. If you haven't seen those videos, we spent some time going over midline stabilization, and we spent some time with some shoulder stability. And now we want to come back to the hips. If you've been doing CrossFit for any amount of time now, you obviously know we like to squat. Contrary to popular belief, it's not because we want to torture you with it, it's because it is probably the most fundamental functional movement you will do in the course of life itself. So we want to make sure that at the end of the day, we can handle the stresses of getting up and down from those low positions. First thing we obviously always want to identify is our squat stance, right? We never want to squat too narrow. We never want to squat too wide necessarily. We want to find a good, probably hip to shoulder width position that we can cultivate and get ourselves down into that good deep position. As we're sitting down and back, we want to make sure that we can push the knees away from each other, effectively spreading the floor. So we want to be able to get down, knees away, get the hips below the knees, and be able to create tension in and about our trunk and our torso and ultimately through our hips so that we can use the big muscles of the glutes to get us up and down. If we're not getting a good position, if we're losing that position, we're kind of collapsing the knees, we're going to wind up loading the quads, the hamstrings, possibly even the lower back, and ultimately at the end of the day not really having a very effective squat. So we need to make sure that those external rotators are working efficiently. In order to do so, we want to make sure that we are paying a little bit of attention to getting that strength and maintaining that musculature. So all we need for today's stabilization WOD is one of 3 of these stretch bands. We have them here in the facility, but you can obviously get these for home. They're pretty easy and inexpensive. They come in different tensions, green, then blue, then black. Ultimately, we need to be able to get these on. So we're setting both feet through and then band up just above the knee. There's sort of a little concavity right here just above the knee joint. We want to try to get the band up and into that position and then laying flat. Go back to that squat stance. So if this is our squat stance, we want to be able to get back to that width. We want to come down into sort of an athletic ready position, quarter squat, however you want to think about it. And we want to do what some people might call a clamshell. I call an in and out. We're letting the knee collapse, foot stays flat on the floor, and we're pushing it all the way back out. The opposite leg never moves, right? So we're keeping ourselves nice and stable about the left leg in this case while the right leg is active. And then when we switch sides, we're doing just the opposite. Foot never leaves the ground. We don't want the actual arch of the foot collapsing like so. We want to keep the sole of the sneaker flat on the ground. We're going to go 15 to 25 of those each side. From here, we want to start adding a little bit of forward dynamic to it. So we want to actually get into a monster walk. The feet are still just as wide. The knees are out over the little toes. And we're walking forward. And then ultimately we want to walk it back. We're going to look at least 10 meters probably each direction. We don't need to necessarily go further at first, although obviously as you get stronger, as you need an increase in the challenge, we'll go a little bit further. Then we're going to go ahead and turn sideways. Same idea. We might start off with another round of those clamshells, but now we want to step out and back, out and back. So we're leading with the front leg. We're keeping the feet nice and straight. The recovery is to where we started. We're not recovering to the feet in tight. We're keeping that width of our stance, that width of our squat stance rather. So we're out, back, back. Same idea. 10 meters one direction, 10 meters back. You can do that for sets. You can do that one round, really up to the individual. But at the end of the day, we want to make sure we're spending some decent time on these movements so that we can actually get into those deep squats with good tension, good stability, and a good quality squat. That's your homework for this week. Get after it.